warm welcome to you, everyone, wherever you may be watching. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. Let's begin tonight on our countdown to the deteriorating state of education in Nigeria, especially the ASU indefinite strike. It's now 45th day since university lecturers in federal university in the country began an indefinite strike action, keeping students away from their classrooms. The standoff between the federal government and the university lecturers continue, and the students continue to be idle. Well, Nigerians look forward to the stakeholders getting their acts together to resolve this national embarrassment. Let's begin by letting you know that Dr. Doyin Okupe, the Director General of the Peter Obi Campaign Organization, has today withdrawn and announced his withdrawal as the Vice Presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Dr. Okupe took to his Twitter to say that his party would announce the new running mate to the presidential candidate, Peter Obi. The announcement, we understand, was to be made official today, but due to some logistic issues, the party and the candidate couldn't achieve it, but hopefully that might happen tomorrow. Dr. Okupe wrote on his Twitter handle, quote, "This afternoon I submitted my withdrawal letter from the position of the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party to INEC. A replacement will be announced by the national chairman of the party shortly. I feel greatly blessed to have been part of the foundation of success for the Labour Party." Let's give you an update of what is happening as far as the former Deputy Senate President, A.K. Kuje, and his trial in the UK is concerned. Today, both the former Deputy Senate President and his wife, Beatrice Ekweremadu, appeared in a court in London. The Westminster Magistrate Court accepted that the kidney donor in the case of former Deputy Senate President and his wife, Beatrice, is not a minor. Ekweremadu and his wife were arrested by the British police on the 23rd of June 2022 on allegations of human trafficking and organ harvesting that violate the country's Modern Slavery Act. The police authorities had accused the lawmaker of conspiring to bring a child to the United Kingdom for organ harvesting, saying the victim was a 15-year-old boy. During the continuation of the case, the prosecution accepted that he is 21 years old, contrary to earlier claims that he is 15 years old. The prosecution has accepted that the boy is 21 years, and the court that thereafter fixed August the 4th as a date for the next hearing. Now, tonight, there are perspectives, different perspectives to the implication of the attack on the correctional facility. We're not looking at the surface, the attack, oh yes, they threw explosives, they brought down the walls, they released prisoners, but we're looking at the implication for national security. It is a very disastrous incident, but at that, there are talks about the intelligence that have come prior to this attack. What became of that intelligence? The DSS truly gave the intelligence to the military, or to the police, or to the correctional facility. What did they do with the intelligence? Now, the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, had visited the correctional facility today and saying this is an obvious insider job. What does that mean? We dissect it tonight for you. But before we get into all of that, let me allow you to get your update on the political stories across the nation and our political roundup.
The House of Representatives Committee on Information has held a one-day public hearing on a bill to provide for the regulation and conduct of the practice of broadcast profession in Nigeria. Participants at the hearing largely supported the bill, describing it as complementary to the National Broadcasting Act and in line with current realities. The National Broadcasting Commission, however, disagrees with the bill, saying it conflicts with the NBC Act of 1992.
Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is not to regulate the broadcasting sector. It's basically a meeting point for the practitioners.
Presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NPP, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, is calling on voters to obtain their permanent voter cards in order to entrench good leadership for the country come 2023. Kwankwaso, who stated this while addressing his supporters in Osogbo, the Osun state capital, stressed that Nigeria cannot afford to elect a weak president in the forthcoming general election, given the fragile condition of the country.
So I urge you to make sure that your card is with you so that you can go and vote.
The governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, says his administration is not slowing down the pace of infrastructural development and legacy projects despite having few months to exit. The governor has been going around the state after the just concluded governorship election to examine the state of the ongoing airport project and some works in the education sector.
Whatever is left also, now I have no fears again. I know that the incoming administration would continue apace with the vision.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami has begun a process to review Nigeria's Postal Institutions and Remand Centers Act 2004 as he inaugurates a 13-man committee to draft a new bill. The minister, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Jeje Agba Beatrice, at an event in Abuja, notes that the decision to review the law is born out of the desire to ensure that the country's juvenile justice system is in conformity with the Child Rights Act. The crisis rocking the Kano State People's Democratic Party is still very rampant as two factions have held on to the leadership. Since the onset of political activities in the state on the 1st of June, the Kano Electoral Commissioner of INEC announced that the recognized faction is a Sagadi-led faction.
As at the time the primary election for PDP was conducted, the Sagagi-led faction was the recognized faction by law.
The Sagadi-led faction has, however, been rumored to be loyal to the former chieftain of the party, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. In this light, the recognized Sagagi faction by Kano INEC has held a press briefing to pledge their total support to the People's Democratic Party, calling on all aggrieved party members to bury the hatchet and deliver the elections to PDP from local, state and national levels.
All aggrieved members of the party to choose their sword and let's join hands and work together as a party, so that victory will be ours come 2023.
It was mixed feelings when staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Rivers State bade farewell to their resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Opo Efanga, who bows out after a 5-year term. His 5-year mandatory tenure has now come to an end.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get right into it. Now, it's 2 days since the suspected Boko Haram terrorists attacked Kuje Correctional facility, releasing inmates as some of notorious Boko Haram members and their leaders are now on the loose. Today, the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, visited the site and they started querying a lot of inadequacies in the system and the mode of operations of the facility. Based on his assessment, the Senate President claims there is an obvious insider job. Take a listen to the Senate President.
Having gone around the facility itself, we are disappointed that this facility does not have CCTV, something that will record or at least give you a view of what is happening and sometimes record the events. Now, this is a medium security custodial center. How on earth in the FCT facility of this magnitude we don't have even CCTV? It means we can say that all other medium security custodial centers across the country do not have CCTV. So we have asked the CG, the Comptroller General, to ensure that the request for CCTV in all the maximum and medium custodial centers across the country are included in the 2023 budget, because this is essential, this is indispensable. Now, as this facility lacks the CCTV or a functional CCTV, there is no record of what happened, except narration and maybe thinking this is what might have happened and so on and so forth. But if we had CCTV, at least the records would have been there and some analysis would have been made.
That's the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan. Of course, beside him, you can see the Deputy Senate President. He does look at the National Assembly, very interested. We understand now the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, also visited earlier today. The President yesterday visited that same site, and he he recorded or established his disappointment in the manner in which the custodial center is being operated. No CCTV, the defense mechanism broken down. These guys operated for several minutes unchallenged and all of that. How did all this happen? Now, beyond all of this, the broken down, this is not the first time, so we're not surprised that this kind of thing is happening. I probably was not surprised that this happened. It was just a matter of time that this could have happened. It has happened in Kogi. It has happened in Imo. It has happened in several other states of the Federation where correctional facilities were attacked in Nigeria. But the big question is the kind of people and the characters that were released by this prisoner. It was premeditated. They came for these guys and they released them. Who are these people? Let's say they are some of the leaders, the first generation of Boko Haram leaders were being released. What does this mean for us as a nation and our security architecture? I'm being joined by a security consultant, one that speaks to the heart of the matter. He joins us virtually, Mr. Kabiru Adamu. Thank you so much, Mr. Adamu, for joining us. Just a few days ago, you were here right with me in the studio. We never imagined that this kind of situation will happen. Now, Kuje is just about 30-minute drive or 25-minute drive from the city center. It shows you the closeness of these, the audacity of these guys to have operated in a correctional facility very close to town, perhaps about 30 minutes to the seat of power in the Aso Rock Villa. First and foremost, describe to us, what do you make of the audacity of these guys before I delve into some of the implications for our security?
Thank you, Sheil, and my pleasure to be here. It shows an adversary that has been emboldened. It shows an adversary that has attempted in the past to attack, the other side, and that attempt has been successful. So that adversary is now moving further and taking what it believes it can take. In every war situation or any conflict situation, that is something to be extremely worried about, where the adversary has this confidence, this level of confidence. Then the best thing to do is to dent that confidence, and anything short of that, unfortunately, means a continuation of these types of incidents.
There was a time that Boko Haram element attacked the headquarters of the police here in Abuja. There was a time they attacked the United Nations. Now, there are advisory being given by foreign countries to their nationals in Nigeria. What is the implication of this kind of attack? And I'm not sure, you are within the security community, the intelligence community. Were you also privy to the intelligence that there might be this kind of attack? And in fact, parks in Abuja about a week or 2 weeks ago have been notified that they should close early. In fact, there were also notifications about the operations in some markets in Abuja. That means there was an intelligence. It might not be correct to say there were no intelligence. But the question is, what did we make of those intelligence?
So there are different types of intelligence. The most common one that people speak about is the actionable intelligence, the type that tells you what will happen, when it will happen, who is behind it, and all that. So we may not be privy to that kind of information, whether there was actionable intelligence. But I can tell you in all certainty that there was intelligence. As an example, the global body called IS launched a campaign in May 2022, where it called on its affiliates across the world to make effort to relieve their members in detention. And that was intelligence. Now, if we have an IS affiliate in Nigeria, what would happen is that affiliate would respond to that campaign. And that is exactly what happened. The second indication, Kuje as a town has had a history of attacks by especially bandits, criminals, who would go after residents and abduct them. In fact, last month and 2 months ago, residents in Kuje did protest what they perceived as the inability of the security forces to protect them. And you just need to speak to the traditional ruler in Kuje, he would corroborate this point I'm making. Now, not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, that same community started reporting based on the chatter that my company gathers, that they are seeing strange faces in addition to the bandits that they know around the mountain and forest areas in Kuje. Again, another indication. Then thirdly, after the train attack in Kaduna, one of the demands by this group is for the freeing of their membership that were in detention. Kuje came up in that conversation that possibly some of those members were in Kuje. So all of these were indicators that Kuje as a custodial center may be in the eyesight of these attackers. And now, given the proximity of Kuje to this ungoverned space, there is a forest from Kuje that can take you all the way to Kogi, where we know that there are armed non-state actors in. Then there is also a forest that can take you all the way to Kaduna, as well as all the way to Niger, where we know that these groups operate. Now, what is the possibility that they moved in this route inside this forest to come to Kuje and carried out that attack? So there was intelligence. Whether it was actionable intelligence or just this type of intelligence that I described, there was intelligence.
Now, give us an understanding of what ISWAP and what we are hearing, that they've taken responsibility to that attack. And for the conversation we had on this program yesterday, there was a profiling of those who were released, some of those who make up the 64 or so members of Boko Haram who were being kept in that facility. We understand that some of them were the first generation of Boko Haram leaders, and in the generation of Muhammad Yusuf, the leader of Boko Haram. If that has happened, if ISWAP is taking responsibility for that attack, very much in the doorstep of the nation's capital and the president's office and living space, what does this mean? And what particular lesson do you think this is teaching us as a nation?
Now, I would be a little bit circumspect in responding to your question, and this is because it has grave implication on national security. So I would speak to the extent that I can without further adding to the very dire situation that we're in the moment. Now, let's start with the hope that all of these 60 plus persons would have been interrogated, would have been debriefed by the various security departments in the country. And that means there is a dossier, there are files on them, and those files will contain the skill sets that they are capable of. Now, if we know the skill set, it means we can do a war room situation scenario where we now ask ourselves, with these skill sets now out there, what are the likely scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, and all that. And then more importantly, anticipate what would come out from that scenario and then do what the logical national security measures would be, to put in place mitigation measures, anti-terrorism as well as counter-terrorism mitigation measures that would prevent the likelihood of all the scenarios becoming a reality. Again, I want to be very circumspect in respect to responding to your question. It's an issue of national security, and we have to be careful here.
So now, if the Senate president went to that facility today to inspect what happened, and he made a statement that came out to me, he said, it's obvious that it's an insider job. He was querying the absence of CCTV, the defenses of the facility and how it broke down, and the manner in which these guys operated. They have operated in that manner, and there are no very strong repelling of the attack, such that they carried out their enterprise unhindered, to the extent that they took away they let go the doors of this custodial center, and the fact that they were holding these very dangerous elements in this center for all this time. These are several questions, but what is very intriguing here and disturbing is the fact that he says it's an insider job.
Yes, so you could translate that to mean a lot of things. One of the most common knowledge that we all are aware of is that inmates are allowed to have access to telephones, and they're able to communicate with the outside world almost unhindered. Now that means, as an example, whoever would have given them those phones may have been a collaborator, knowingly or unknowingly. That is just one element of the possibility of it being an insider job. Another level of that statement by His Excellency, the Senate President, is the grievances that we know exist within personnel of the custodial center around salaries, around promotion, around their working conditions, that those grievances can easily be exploited by any adversary. And then the third element is contractors. Contractors who, for one reason or the other, because of the poor access control to that facility, may have gained knowledge that they shouldn't be available, they shouldn't be at their disposal, and they have now transferred that knowledge to a third party that would have transferred it to the adversary. So all these are levels and ramifications of an insider job, perhaps that the Senate President may have referred to.
Now, I'm worried. I may not be privy to some of the information that is existing within the intelligence community. But one we wonder that in the intelligence community, in fact, some of the very basic communication between citizens are being picked up if they are sensitive. If these elements have come on foot, that's what one of the things the Senate President highlighted, that they came on foot, and the number, there's several of them that came on foot. Now, how did they travel that distance without being noticed? They carried out these exercises for several hours, we understand. Now, the big question here is, now, after doing all of this, in Senate climes, health will be rolling right now. People's jobs will be lost because this is a disaster. And the president said he's expecting a report. In fact, some people have criticized the president's statement, saying he was disappointed. I mean, those who would criticize to say, is the president not aware that these things are porous to this point? Is the president just getting to know at this point? What is the Minister of Interior doing? What is the Minister of Defense? What's the Minister of Police? What are these guys in the top echelon of security? What are they doing? Some people probably would have lost their jobs. Some people would have resigned voluntarily because of this disaster that is on the nation's hands.
Yeah, so there are two ways to look at this. Number one, those organizations that you mentioned, the coordinating elements within the national security architecture, a lot of them were there, or even if they were not there in person, they had representatives when Mr. President made that statement. The administrative machinery within the presidency were there. So I would hope that they had picked that statement by Mr. President and translated it into either a query or what in intelligence parlance is called a tasking order, or even a military operational request, where they will now send either, call it a query, call it a tasking order, call it a military request to the various organizations that are within the national security architecture, saying that, look, this has happened, this is your mandate, this is your responsibility, we need you to explain within 48 hours why this incident happened. And the other ramification of it is to set up a commission of an inquiry or an investigative body to now look into the development, find out who was responsible, whose inaction, or perhaps whose collaboration led to the issues. Last time I was in your station, we talked about the role that the Ministry of Digital Economy, and I think I keep on forgetting the name of that ministry, the role it can play in security. Now, we're all aware that there are several masts around that facility. Communication happened. The good thing, again, I'm going to be very circumspect in what I say. The manner, the platform with which they communicated are platforms that could have been picked before the incident, and are platforms that can be investigated after the incident. So I'm hoping that this coordinating elements who we've talked about would pick up this, run an investigation. Now, in the meantime, one of the best actions that can happen is to suspend anyone who had responsibility and whose inaction and inability led to this incident, pending the outcome of the investigation or the query response by the several departments. Now, that is the only way to stop this impunity that has affected the security sector within the country. Again, it's not peculiar to the security sector. It's a common factor that runs across virtually all sectors of the Nigerian state. But it's really unfortunate that that same factor is also affecting the security sector. We need to stop it, and we need to stop it like yesterday.
Now, I mean, you share a lot of insights. You're a man of knowledge in this field, in this sector of security, and a lot of Nigerians respect what you say. I'm just hoping that this is just an aside, whether or not you share as much of this knowledge with the security community in Nigeria. Do you? Government and relevant agencies, do you? Do you share this kind of knowledge with and insight with them?
Sheung, gladly. You're aware, first off, I do run, I own an intelligence, commercial intelligence firm called Beacon Consulting. Now, just to give you an example, I talked earlier on about a campaign that the global body IS started. If you pick my report for May, it was mentioned, and that report I share free. It's a report that I spend a lot of resources in developing, but I share it freely to all the security departments. I don't know whether they bother to read. Occasionally, sometimes I get calls from them, but never formally. Now, again, on this platform, I believe a lot of security departments watch this platform. You invite me, you don't pay me. I spend my time, my resources, and of course, my knowledge I share. So I'm doing my part. The other side of it is, again, when issues come up that I believe are of relevance, we write briefs, and we send those briefs to the relevant security department. So that's the best we can do, just to inform, and if they use it, fine. If not, we've done our part.
On a final note, Mr. Adamu, I'm not in doubt, and no iota of doubt in my mind about the level and the amount of knowledge available, not to only Nigerians, to the government. And I sometimes feel that what is exactly is happening to us? I mean, is this a curse or something? We are very intelligent and very knowledgeable Nigerians. In fact, in the military, in the police, in every sector of our society. And when people leave this society, they go elsewhere and they thrive and they do very well. And I'm not in doubt of the fact that there's a lot of knowledge that is being shared, that is known within the Nigerian sector. But there is a consistent and a constant failure to adopt those knowledge into practical gains for the Nigerian people. This is, in simple terms, policy and governance. There is a failure of that, and it's been several years of that. How do we fix this? Nigerians are disappointed. There is a lot of disbelief from the Nigerian people, a lot of disconnect from the people to the government. Security does not look like every citizen's business. It's supposed to be the primary role of government. Government looks that it has failed in its job. Where do we go from here, Mr. Adamu?
One word: accountability. If we can introduce accountability within the security sector, it will change all of this. And the best way to introduce accountability is to have what I would describe as monitoring and evaluation capacity within the security sector, so that we give key performance indicators. We appoint you as the Inspector General of Police. At the time we appointed you, kidnap for ransom in the country was the metrics she's showing about, let's say, 500 in a month. Now your key performance indicator will be reduce it to 100. And that means we should have a system for monitoring in a very transparent manner. And that is what I do in my consultancy. We have these metrics. These metrics would help us in reviewing progress. And for me, anything short of that, unfortunately, would allow a continuation of that. But if we introduce accountability through key monitoring and evaluation, and this introduction of these key performance indicators, as well as the strengthening of the legislative oversight over this, most of these organizations are within the executive arm of government. And so their failures is also partly the failures of the coordinating elements within them. So the best way to kind of put an eye and ensure performance is to enhance legislative oversight. And the best way to enhance legislative oversight is to increase the capacity of all the committees within the National Assembly. Now, the challenge is that because of our military legacy, a lot of our legislators, unfortunately, are either uncomfortable or, for lack of a better word, hesitant to get themselves involved in proper legislative oversight over these organizations that are within the security sector. So they need to increase their capacity to understand the security sector and to hold them accountable in the everyday oversight. The second element is the legislation, and I must commend the Buhari administration in terms of improving legislation within the security sector, but they must take it further by implementing a security sector governance reform so that we see an improvement, especially in the ethos of the functions of these organizations, where they see the average Nigerian as one that they should protect and not one that they should use their weapons against.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kabiru Adamu, for your thoughts and the insight that you've shared tonight on the program. A lot of us who, if you are in your 40s or your 50s, you'll be wondering how this nation has deteriorated in terms of security this badly, and a lot of places in Nigeria are now very difficult to live in. Health, education sector also gasping for breath. Thank you so much for your insight tonight. We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, we're seeking answers. There is a huge security challenge in Nigeria, but how do we overcome the dilemma that we have faced? We have now been turned into a nation that consistently fear some ragtag element that have turned our nation into a theater of war. How do we combat these guys and finish them off? We'll be joined by the Senate Committee Chair on the Army, Senator Ali Ndume. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. News just coming in about the politics of Delta State. From the Abuja division of the Federal High Court, we're being told that the court, Justice Taiwo, has disqualified Sheriff Obervari, the candidate of the Delta State People's Democratic Party for the 2023 governorship election. Justice Taiwo, delivering the judgment, agreed with the plaintiff that Obervari ought not to be on the 2023 governorship election for the PDP on account of allegedly supplying false and forged documents to INEC in aid of his qualification for the governorship election. The judge subsequently directed INEC and the PDP to recognize the plaintiff as candidate of the PDP in the 2023 governorship election in Delta State. Olorogun David Edevie, a former commissioner of finance under former Governor James Ibori, who came second in the primary, had contended that Obervari's participation in the primary on the grounds of alleged discrepancies in his academic qualification as well as of his age. Let's speak more about the security situation in the country. I'm now being joined by one of those who are playing an oversight role on the Nigerian military. He's the chairman of the Senate Committee on the Army and a sitting senator from Borno State, Senator Ali Ndume. Thank you so much, Senator, for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
A lot of the times we discuss security here, and it's sad that I bring you a lot of the times about security, less about politics that you like to talk about. When you heard, you are aware, Mohammed Yusuf, I guess he's from Borno State, is he?
No, he's from Yobe.
He's from Yobe State, but that actually happened in Maiduguri. Now, we understand that some of the elements that were released, about 64 of them, some of them were in the generation of Mohammed Yusuf. They have been kept there for close to 10 years. And these are some of the leaders of Boko Haram that have been in detention. What did you make about the situation, the prison break or the attack on the Kuje Custodial Center?
Well, first of all, let me say that what happened in Kuje is really, really unfortunate. But it's clear indication of the failure of those that are concerned to take responsibility and take issues of security and welfare of citizens seriously. I have been emphasizing and saying that in the situation we find ourselves in this country, the priority of government, number one, should be security and welfare of its citizens. Number two should be security and welfare of its citizens. Number 3 should be security and welfare of its citizens. Yes, we came into this government with 3 priority areas: security, infrastructure, and fight against corruption. We can't do any of the 2 without taking care of the first one. That's why I say 1, 2, 3 should be security, and then welfare of the citizens.
Abuja.
Some of these detainees, the inmates, have been there for nearly 20 years, since 2010. 2010, okay, 12 years, 2010 to now. So many are in Kainji. I mean, there is confusion everywhere. So many are now those that have surrendered in Maiduguri. So many are in various detention centers everywhere.
Awaiting trial?
Yes, awaiting trial. At the same time, some are being released in the name of
rehabilitation and reintegration.
I mean,
de-radicalization.
The situation is very sad.
You don't support the de-radicalization?
No,
process.
I don't.
You think that we are basically bringing these elements back into society?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to preempt what has happened, but you know that some of these things are connected. You don't double into things anyhow, and you do one thing at a time. Right now, the insurgents are breaking in here, killing people every now and then you are talking about bringing in some people and telling them, oh, yeah, go and sin no more, without proper investigation. And some of them, there are some people in detention that are innocent, likely, but not maybe very few. But so justice should be done accordingly, not haphazardly. But anyway, the sum of it all is that we are not doing much, or we are not concentrating, or we are not prioritizing the key issue of security in this government properly. I mean, Nigeria with 200 million people, you have, I've been saying this several times, you have less than 400,000 police, you have less than 200,000 police, and you have all the security agencies put together, that their number is not up to 1 million. Go and check it. How can you police a country of 200 million with this? And then, as you said, look at it. People will come from wherever, up to now, 2 days, nothing. No trace, no information, no situation room, no thing very, I mean, that the train, people that were abducted on the train attack, over 100 days now, no information, and...
It's a failure of government, isn't it?
Well, I don't want to, look, I'm part of the government. I take responsibility. I'm just saying that people are not responsible for what they are supposed to be.
In clear terms, it's a failure of government.
No, I don't put, I know what failure means.
Yeah, it's a failure.
So and you know me, if it is failure, I will say it has failed.
But what is it?
But people are not. We're into what I told you sometimes when I'm on the phone. We have khaki strokers in the government.
What do you mean by that?
Kakistrosi means that you have people that are not supposed to be leading, and you find them leading. Or people being led by people that are not supposed to, or are not qualified to. Why I say so, yes. Why I say so is when you have somebody, or you have government is clearly, the responsibility of government is security and welfare of its citizens. But you have people that are supposed to be responsible for various, and I'm not talking only about the executive. In this country now, the performance of the 3 arms of government is at the lowest level.
But, I mean, let me ask you, you have an oversight in your committee as the chairman. What information do you have? How did this happen? Was the military not aware?
Why are you talking about military? Are we in a state of military? No.
We are in a state of war.
No. We are not state of war. We are not.
Aren't we?
No.
That's
we have,
what some people
war
describe.
War by definition, it means if, for example, Chad, Niger, or wherever, or any is attacking our country, then we go after them. That is war.
We're fighting insurgency. That's
yeah, we are fighting criminals and insurgents, including insurgents and people that are separatists and all that. That is not war. We have criminals in the country all over. And because criminality, whether in terms of carrying guns or carrying pen or carrying paper or carrying computer have been almost legitimized, then everybody does it anyhow. And then you have the army scattered everywhere. The army has no business running around they are supposed to be in the barracks, and their constitutional role is to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria. And when the needs arises, then you draft them to come and solve some problem. But every time now you are trying to talk about, and it's not because I'm chairing the committee on army, no. But army is not police. And the police, as I said,
it's almost looking normal for us to see military on the streets.
Yeah, because the police are handicapped.
And they are overstretched.
They are, overstretched. And even the police are almost like non-existent now. Because they have not been given what they need to work.
Did you hear what the Senate President said?
What?
That there is an insider. It looks like an insider.
Oh my God, all this, I don't want to get into that. You don't just start speculating with serious business, all this. If there is, say who he is or how. All I'm saying is that we have problem with the fundamental purpose of government in this country. The fundamental purpose in government, as stated in the Constitution, is security and welfare of its citizens. And we're not doing well in that. The earlier we realize that we need to get more people to police, more intelligence, more security agencies, personnel, and the better for us. But we are not doing good in that area.
No, I mean, you do not agree with what the Senate President said.
Because I don't want you to be joining me with Senate President. That is his own opinion. If he has an insider and he has the information, why don't he share it with other people? I don't want. I thought you say we are going. Wait now. I thought you say we are coming to discuss how do we solve this problem, not what the Senate President says.
No, we need to look at the problem.
No.
And look at the solutions.
You are not asking the right person. Go and ask the Senate President who are those that he said are insiders.
If you look at what happened there on the ground and how the operation of these elements happened, and perhaps the inkling of those who think that this could not have happened without the help of people on the inside, do you believe that it was a compromise?
Why are you... I didn't know that this is what we are going to discuss. Honestly, I wouldn't have come. Why don't we talk about the solutions? Get more people to do their job. Not what the Senate President said.
Oh, if the issue of fifth columnists...
My God,
no, is there an issue about fifth columnists in the Nigerian security?
How would I know? How could you know? You see, this is where this country is not moving forward. You are taking so much of our time talking about what Senate President said. Why don't you call him and ask him? Why should you ask me? My name is Senator Alin Dume. Let me remind you that.
A member of the Senate?
Yes, but I have not seen the Senate President for a while. Why would you bring me here to start asking me? I thought we would be talking about how to solve this problem.
Aren't we talking about it?
No. You are talking about Senate President and he said...
And the implication of what he said, because there is a very strong implication of what he said.
Go and talk to the Senate President about that.
If there is an infiltration in our military or our security...
Let him come and say, or you go and ask him, please.
Okay,
let's talk about the solution.
If you don't want to respond to what he said, that's fine.
No, I don't want to.
Let's talk about what is happening and what happened on the ground.
Thank you.
If you assess the situation properly, should we have had these elements being kept in this place for this longer time? And how do we move away from having them being kept? Because you said that not in Kuje, in several other correctional facilities, these guys are being kept there. How did we get here? How do we move away from that?
Sheon, let me adjust this discussion, please. I'm not here to be lamenting. I thought I'm here to discuss the solution to this problem. And that is the topic you put across, isn't it? Why would you come and be talking about lamenting? We have a security problem in this country. The height of it is one that we witnessed day before yesterday. What do we do? What we need to do, number one, is to get enough security agents on ground or personnel on ground in institutions like this or even areas of public interest. If there were enough soldiers, enough or well-equipped, well-trained personnel at that facility, those ragtag boys that came in, even they are not that professionally trained. Maybe they have one, but I'm sure they are not as trained as the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army. How come they come there? Is because they don't have, that place is not fortified enough. Those places don't have what they need technically, like cameras, like drones, and like all things that they can use in order to address this matter. So the Nigerian government, as a matter of urgency, needs to look at other agencies. Because this is not the first time. There have been prison breakouts in Edo, and so many areas. But nothing tangible or concrete has been done about it. No steps. When we come, we start lamenting, we start saying, so person says so. That is not the solution. Let us address this matter. Let us get more police on ground. Let us train them. Let us have the equipment. Let us make sure that where you keep these people are adequately protected. Let us make sure that justice is dispensed quickly.
You are describing an overhaul. What you are trying to paint is like an overhaul.
Of course.
Where do we start from?
We start from getting more personnel on ground. What the people say there, they don't have enough number, and they were calling out for help, and nobody was around there. So what do? Make sure that such places, not only that of Kuje now, such places all over the country, you make sure that there's adequate protection around, in, and outside that kind of facility, number one. Then number two, you make sure that there are people that are on standby that will be given some timeline to say if there's a distress call, you must be at social place within social time. So that if they don't meet that and it happens, then you can say you are responsible. And this is responsible. But nobody's talking about that. Everybody is saying, oh, there are insiders there. Oh, some people say, I'm disappointed that all this lamentation is not the solution. And then after that, that is it. You start arguing on what the Senate president or the president said, and you ignore the problem. And therefore, even talking about the solution will not be there completely. Now, this is part of the problem. I have said it several times, you are my friend, but part of the problem we even have is like this one now, the press. Instead of talking about the issue and the ideas, you are talking about event and you are talking about people. And, it is only lesser mind that discuss people and events. Great minds should be discussing ideas. What do we do now that this has happened?
Senator Alindume, when a president, a Senate president, and people like yourself speak about the issue, then it calls attention for it because you are privy to information. Now,
yes.
If you tell me something, I take it seriously because of your position as a politician in this country. Now, that's why the implication of this is what we are looking solution for. Now, the big question here, which bothers me, those guys that are on the loose.
Yeah.
What they are capable of doing.
Yeah.
How do we stop them?
That is what.
Now we don't know where they've gone. We don't know where they are.
Now we are talking because what I'm expecting is that if this happen, you ask me, what do we do? Of course, the president is supposed to, or I will say that those that are responsible, that is the security agencies, call their heads and say, get these people back in 2 days. Remember what Babangida did when Anini was on the loose and he was even, robbing everywhere and even being so, spraying money. And at one of the Federal Executive Council meeting then, or is it Supreme Council meeting, Babangida said, Inyang was the where is Anini? Go and get Anini. When after 2-3 days they got Anini, isn't it? Now 100 days, the victims of the train attack are still not there, have not been found. And now, 2 days into this, nobody is even saying that this is where the people are. No, there is no situation room. Nigerians are not briefed, and you just talk on speculation.
Now, Senator, you are from Borno State,
yeah,
where the nation is fighting the terror war. I mean, a nation fighting terror war is at war. And the big question here is that you've described us populating the security agencies, I mean, the military and all of that. But these are not immediate solutions. Now, these guys are on the loose. We are talking about immediate protection of lives and property in this country. Lives are under threat. What do we do now?
Ask the people in charge to get these people back within 2 days, 3 days, or whatever you want.
Can they do it?
They can.
How would they go about it?
Well, give them what they want. If you say, go and do this, and what do you need? They will tell you. Give them what they want. Let them go and do it. They can do it.
If those guys that attacked the Correctional Custody Center, from what we're hearing, I understand, but the same guys who attacked the train in Kaduna.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, I'm saying if they were the same, I mean, according to the report we are hearing, if they were the same set of people who carried out this attack, and ISWAP, we understand, have taken responsibility, how do we deal with it?
Go after them. They are Nigerians, they are in the country. I'm sure if there was a proper response that day, that night, I mean, those people would have been apprehended or neutralized, as you call them. But there was no proper response, and they said it 4 hours into the time they were attacked. No support from anywhere.
Now, so when you say that nobody is briefing anyone, who should be briefing the nation? Who should be talking to Nigerians?
The service chiefs are there, and the NSA is there, the president is there. This is not a state matter, but if it is in a state, the state governor is supposed to be doing that. You see it happening everywhere.
On a final note, Senator.
Honestly, we're in trouble. Don't take these things lightly. I'm worried.
I am worried too.
No, I don't think so.
I am very worried. No. And that's why we made it a top agenda.
If we are serious, we should be talking about how to address this matter and what citizens need to do. Not to be talking about or allowing people to be just speculative and then you make it an issue. I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed with the response of so many leaders. And it's our responsibility, the responsibility of government, the security and welfare of its citizens. And then you have leaders responding as if it is a casual thing, it's not their responsibility. It's our responsibility. I feel pained. I feel pained to be called a senator, and I'm almost like helpless, or many of us are like that, sitting down to be observers. And you come and ask questions.
If you have the powers tonight, Senator Alindo,
yes,
how do you fix the security situation?
Well, I'll call the security chiefs to prepare properly, and then I'll tell the nation what's going on, sharing with them what needs to be shared without compromising the security situation. But I'll get it done. The president is supposed to, or whoever is responsible, is supposed to sit some people down and get results. And get results. Not just making statements. I hear people, I said it before. When it comes to issues like this, it is the president himself that is supposed to be talking to Nigerians, not some advisor on press.
Who should be taking responsibility?
The president, of course, and all of us.
How will he do that?
He's the president. He's the president. He's the president. Anything, you see, religiously, let me tell you, by the time you take responsibility or you ask people to elect you as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, anything that happens to any Nigerians, God will hold you accountable for it. The president knows that.
Thank you so much, Senator Alindo, for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I wish that those who are supposed to take responsibility would take it.
I hope so too, because I mean, this thing is getting out of hand. You can't, even coming here now, you have to be looking right, left, right, and center.
And this is Abuja.
This is Abuja. And you can imagine in Abuja, people had the audacity to come and do things and get away with it.
For several hours.
No, they got away with it. Nobody has been arrested so far. All those, I understand those people, and unfortunately, almost like 80% of the inmates are awaiting trial. That means they are not convicts. They are suspects. Why would you keep somebody there? I know. I've been to Kuje prison.
The judicial process is a problem?
Yes.
Even
that's why I say it's both. The judiciary is a problem. The executive is a problem. The legislature is even a problem. Because, for example, we as legislators, we are charged with the responsibility of oversighting the executive. Then the judiciary is also charged, they know their responsibility. But all this is what cumulated into this bigger problem. Why would you keep suspects more than the criminals? There are more convicted, there are more suspects. I was in Kuje prison, remember? In Mena's case. There are more suspects in the prison than the convicts.
Senator Alindume, thank you so much. Chairman of Army Committee in the Senate, thank you so much indeed for your comment and your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. We hope that those who are supposed to take responsibility and take action have listened and they will do something. The nation needs action. Thank you so much, everyone.